What's going on, my good people? This your boy, Lap Up the Entertainer, here to bring you some action between South Carolina State University and North Carolina Central University. This is going to be a very unique battle between both of these bands. I can't wait to see what they're going to bring. Alright? I mean, like, these bands are really, really good. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do. I didn't get a chance to see them two go against each other last year, but it's a sight to see them go against each other this year. So I'm real happy to see this take place. Okay? So if you like this type of content, please consider liking and subscribing. It really means so much to me, man. Appreciate y'all in the long run. Okay? So one thing I would say before we get into the action, there is no favoritism involved at all. Okay? I really want to thoroughly throw that out there. There's some bands that might be like, oh well, you show favoritism to this or you show favoritism to that. No, there's no favoritism at all. Okay, I don't even attend none of these schools, and this is a whole different division from what I'm at. Okay, but I have high expectations for both bands. All right. So I wanted to make sure I thoroughly throw that out there before people be like, you're biased in the comments section or whatever. It's nothing but love here. Okay, so I want to thoroughly put that out there. So we got halftime footage and we got fifth quarter footage. Okay, so I got a grading scale to help us guide us in what we're looking at. Now, granted, this is just my fair take on the battle. You can always be fair, express yourself below, but no bash your boy. All right. So, with that being said, let's get into the action. Look to the cards next to me so you know what we'll be grading. We're going to be grading entrance, songs, formation, dancers, breakdown, and overall creativity. Maximum points they can make altogether is 25. Okay? They can round it to a possible 30. It depends on the band. If they do something unique and death-defying on the field, that can possibly carry their grade. Okay? I see some bands do good. I see some bands do bad. So it kind of depends on them. Okay? Also, when you look at this field show as well, these field shows, I have expectations. Okay? My expectations for both of these bands is for them, the entrance to look clean. Drum majors look in sync. Songs sound good if they're stationary. I'm not grading how they sound while they're marching because the sound can be shaky. Formations, I'm looking for symmetry to look well. I'm looking for the formations to look good. Looking for step-offs to look good. 8 to 5 to be there. Dancers, I'm expecting the stunts to look clean. I'm expecting everything to go well with their piece. They don't look like they're guessing. They got it together. I'm expecting at least 3 breakdown features. So yeah, that's my expectations for the both of these bands. Again, I'm giving it to you raw and uncut. I'm excited to see what they both gonna do. They both unique on this field, so it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see who capitalize. Hey, it might even be a tie on the field. Okay. Now, I'm also want to let y'all know when we get to the win ratio at the end, the record, I'm grading overall. Okay, we're not just grading who was the strongest in this and who was the strongest in that. I would give them the accolades, of course, but we're grading the overall grade. So I just wanted to make sure I thoroughly put that out there as well. Okay, so now y'all know. Let's get into the action. I'm going to shut up. All right. So South Carolina State's first. All right. This is going to be interesting to see them.
Fifth with the marching 101 of South Carolina State University. Drum majors, Sprinkle, on to the are now in Morehouse.
It's going to be interesting.
With the precision drill, music by one of the best to ever do it, Lupe Bedros.
selection that they don't pick. They did that.
Remember the rules. Let's go 1-on-1. You wish you could do this.
They did that.
Producers, what decade do you think?
The top view. There you go. Alrighty. Man, that was entertaining right there. I gotta give it to him, man. Look, that's a perfect 30 in my eyes. I could not see anything wrong with it. They did everything that they were supposed to do in that field show. Very, 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 very entertaining. Okay? Very entertaining field show. Oh, yeah. That's that shit. I knew they already had the potential of doing it, but yeah. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. They don't got them a perfect 30. You know, I don't give out perfect 30s for no reason, man. They mean they did everything that they were supposed to and then some change in the creative department. So, yes, they did everything they were supposed to. The breakdown, they gave me enough breakdowns. The breakdown looked clean, together. They have the energy. You know, the dancers, they handle business on the field. They look good. They have the energy. Very nice. Formations were very clean. Formations were very clean. People got their legs up. Nobody was out there skating. You feel me? Song sounded good to play in place. You know, entrance looked very clean. No complaints at all from South Carolina State University. So yes, they will get the trophy emoji by their name. Well deserved. Well deserved trophy by their name. Whew, perfect 30. You know, that says a lot about a band if you get a perfect 30, man. Alright. So, we're moving on to North Carolina Central. Alright. Now, you know, this band has been on one. You know, they've been handling business for the majority. So, I'm excited to see what they're going to bring. Okay? So, you know, hey, I do not know what to expect on the field, but hey, I'm hoping that, you know, the little small critiques I gave them in the past, that they was able to rectify those small things. Because, hey, a perfect 30 is a hard thing to beat, especially if you're trying to get the lead over another band. So, you know, we're finna get into that action. All right? Let's get to it. It's about 8 to 5 issues on the left side. It's more 8 to 5 issues on the left side. Right side's handled down. 5 getting the best of them now on both sides.
It's a very special day for the South Shore. And today, we will take some time to honor all our senior members for their service to the South Machine.
Senior day. We're gonna do some skipping for senior day. Do some skipping. Not to say I don't want to highlight the moment, but you get what I'm getting at.
He is escorted by Dana.
It's a lot of singers, boy. A lot of singers.
For the success that they will have in their careers.
Alright, we'll get to it. Friday. Now, granted, majority of the field show, they had a lot of seniors, so I can't get mad at them at that. Alright. So, what I'm going to grade it. Alright. Now, because of how this field show was set up, and it wasn't too much to present because they got a lot of seniors, they're going to get them an exemption. Okay? They won't get them an exemption. Okay? But I will give them a grade for certain things. Okay? So, breakdown, I'm going to give them a 5. Creativity, I'm going to give them an exemption. Dancers, I'm going to give them a 5. Formations, I'm going to give them a 3. Songs, a 5. Entrance is a 5. Okay? So, creativity, they get that exemption. Okay? So, that kind of helps them out just a little bit because, you know, that gives them that extra incentive. But, if I was to critique something, it would be the formations with them marching 8 to 5. Okay? So, they end up getting them a 28. Okay? So, I know it wasn't a lot to look at, but, you know, hey, I got to call it down the middle. Alright? The only thing I can really nitpick was them marching 8 to 5. Okay? If the 8 to 5 was there, they probably would have got them a perfect 30. Okay? So, but it was a passing grade for me, Cook. So, congratulations for North Carolina Central. But it's a 2-point difference. Alright? It's a 2-point difference. So, the only thing I can say, like I said, critique is the 8 to 5 issues, but everything else is pretty good. Very great show. Very, very great show. Alright? So, we're moving on to 5th quarter. Alright? Now, 5th quarter kind of hits different for some people because people get in their feelings, and so we got to rectify those things when we get there. Alright? So, current standings right now, South Carolina State is up by 2 points. Counted 2 points in halftime. Okay? So, we're moving on to 5th quarter officially. Alright? So, one thing I would say, if you like this type of content, please consider liking and subscribing. It means so much to me. I will add that I also have a membership program. I have exclusive content only in the membership program. So I will be grading drumline battles, past battles, and you can request, and you have membership only polls. I will go into detail more about that in the video above. So if you want to be a part of the membership program, please do. It's only $2 a month. Okay? Your input is very important to me. Also, if you still want to donate to the channel, you can by hitting that thank you tab below. All proceeds will go into me affording YouTube Premium. With YouTube Premium, I'll be able to react to these reactions with no commercials interrupting it. You know, sometimes that can be a tedious process with me editing everything, and also, you know, it can be annoying to y'all when y'all miss the reaction and I have to edit it or etc. So you kind of get what I'm getting at. So I really appreciate that if y'all do decide to do that. So we heading into 5th quarter. Alright. Please look to the cards next to me so you know we'll be grading. We're going to grade in sound selection, power, articulation, arrangement, and overall cleanness. Maximum points they can make all together is 50. Okay. So I would say this too. I'm grading the execution of the arrangement. I'm not grading how strong the arrangement is. Okay? I'm grading the execution of the arrangement. Alright? That means if it sounds good, it sounds good. If it sounds bad, it sounds bad. And I'm the one that's going to help you determine if that sounds good or not. Okay? Now, granted, it's only one of me. Sometimes I can catch everything. Sometimes I might miss a couple things. I'm only going through this one time. Okay, I'm not going through this twice. I'm not rewinding it to make sure I found the nicks and crannies of everything. I'm not going to do that, because if I do that, the video will be over 4 hours long. I'm not finna do that. Alright? So I'm giving to you raw and uncut first initial reaction. Okay? So please check your attitudes at the door. It's nothing but love here. I'm expecting this to be a great fit between both bands. I'm hoping that they handle their business. Alright? So, with that being said, let's get into the action. Carolina Central surprised me with this power. They said they came to play. They tubers. Woo. Woo. Yo.
I got Lydia outside. We go.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yo, that is crucial. That is crucial, man. Yeah. Man, only thing I gotta say, man, that was crazy. That was a crazy arrangement, fam. They did that shit. They did that shit. That was dope. That was dope. I like that. I like that arrangement for them. That's actually pretty dope. I don't think I would critique on that. Minor critique is high brass. Make sure that y'all don't overhang on that when they trying to hit those scream notes. So just be careful on that. But everything else was straight to the point, crispy. You know, I enjoyed every bit of that. Alrighty, moving on. South Carolina State's next. I didn't want to miss anything. You know how that go. We got us a fifth. Yeah. They did that. They did that. They did that. That was crucial. Oh, man. Yes, indeed. Oh, yeah. We got us a nice battle. We got us a nice battle, man. Oh, shit. This gonna be good. Moving on. was nice. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, Central. They using that. They activating that pen now, dog. All right, Central. I hear you. Yes, indeed. They on one Super Saiyan in this thing. Oh shit. All right, moving on. Mm. Mm. Alrighty, let's get at it great. So, sound selections 10, powers 10, articulations 10, arrangements 10, cleanness, I'm going to give them an 8. Alright, so they got a 48 in that. Only reason why I say they got that in that is because I feel like, in particular, the tubas, there was one tuba that came in a little early in the beginning, and then we got close to that second to last tuba break. You know, they were just kind of, just a tad bit off. You know, so it's lower brass section in the tubas. I feel like they can rectify that and they can be a little bit better. All right, but besides that, everything else is straight. Moving on. Okay, trombones. Alrighty. Let's get that grade. Alright. So, almost a perfect. Almost a perfect. There was some parts in there that I feel like they can be just a tad bit better in hitting those phrases. So everything is 10, cleanness is a 9. So just almost there. Almost there. I just feel like there were just some small parts up in there that just need to get just small phrases in there just to sound a little bit cleaner than that. But everything else was straight. Oh yeah, by the way, I gotta get in this. That's something on my hitting list as well. So yes, you gotta get recognition for that song. That was a strong ass arrangement too. That pen was crucial. Alright, moving on. Alright. So, sound selection is 10, power is 10, articulation is 10, arrangement is 10, cleanness is a 9. Almost a perfect. There's still some phrases that need to be worked on. There's more so runs that need to be worked on than anything. Okay? So it's like it's right there, but it needs to be a little bit sprucing up than that. You know, so it just needs to be a tad bit better than that, than what they have been giving me. Okay, but everything else was good. But I just feel like it was just missing just the initial edge of it being clean. Okay, they got some parts they need to work on, more so with the lower brass. You got a little bit of the beat tones in there that can be a little bit better too. All right. So that being said, moving on. Yeah. Woo. Man, Central came with that power, dog. Central came with that power, fam. They said they coming for that power, man. Whew. Okay, Central. Alright. Let me give that a grade. Alright. Sound selections 10, powers 10, articulations 10, arrangements 10, cleanness I'm gonna give them a 9. Almost a perfect. When we got close to the end, high brass kind of started overdoing it with it. They kind of overshot it just a little bit. Just a slight hangover with them. But everything else was good for the majority. But almost a perfect. Alright, moving on. Whew. Yeah, man, they threw it back on that one, man. That's a nice throwback right there, man. Ooh, that's a nice throwback. I relived memories hearing that song. They would kick it old school on us on that one. That's a crucial throwback. Crucial throwback. Love that arrangement too. That was pretty dope. Alrighty. Let's see. We're getting close to the end, y'all. We almost there. Look like we got 3 to 4 more. We look like we got 3 more rounds left. Solid. Moving on. Let's get that a grade. So, sun selection is 10, power is 10, articulation, I'm going to give them a 9. Arrangement is 10, cleanness, I'm going to give them a 9. Alright? They got some parts they got to reflect on in that. I say it's not all the way there yet, but I can say that they need to nitpick on some parts in there, especially with them attacking together. There were some parts when they can be tighter with them phrasing and cleaning their phrases. Alright? More so of an attacking issue than anything. Alright? It's kind of throughout the band, majority of the band. So it's not just one section. It's pretty much in every section that they need to work on some parts. Alright? Moving on. Got that power. Alright. Song selection is 10. Power is 10. Articulation is 10. Arrange is 10. Cleanness is a 9. Almost a perfect. There was some parts in there that can just be a tad bit tighter. You know, you can even tell when it got close to the end of that song, it could have been a little bit better as well. I just think they just need to work on correcting the small things. It's right there. They just got to fine tune the small things in there. Alrighty, moving on. See what I'm talking about? Alright, moving on. Really about to close this out. Alrighty. Gonna bring back. Alright, let's get that a grade. I don't know if they're gonna bring it back, but let's get that a grade first. Alright. Sound selections 10, powers 10, articulations 10, arrangements 10. Cleanness, I'm gonna give them a 9. High brass. There was people kind of overshooting, like more so overhanging, you know, hanging over. And so high brass, I get when you want to do your screaming, you gotta play in pocket when you do it though. That's the only thing about screaming, you know, you gotta put some more air in the horn or whatever you gotta do to get it out. But you know, come on, you gotta stay in pocket with that. But almost a perfect. Moving on, I don't know what they're gonna do here, but we're gonna grade it. that's a good way to end it. Oh, man. I feel like they should have brought that out way earlier. Be honest with you. They should have brought that one in about way earlier. Way earlier. They should have put that in the game. That's a good way to end it, though. That's a good way to end it. Alrighty. So, who won this battle? Alright. Now, this battle has some twists and turns, and it was a lot to grade on this. So I can't give a definitive answer, so it's going to come down to calculation. Okay? So it come down to calculation, so that means that was a tight fifth for both bands. Okay? So I do not know what to expect in these grades, but I would like to tell y'all, before I give these grades, please do not get in your feelings about these grades. If you skipped all the way to the end to find these grades, shame on you. Watch the video, see what I said. There's no hard feelings here. Again, at the end of the day, I'm grading overall grade as well. So halftime as well, including fifth. Okay? These grades tie into each other. Alright? So just to let y'all know that, because I want to see who was the strongest overall. Alright? Not just fifth, not just halftime. I'm grading both. Alright? So, with that being said, I'm going to pull these grades up and then we're going to be done. Alright? So, we're going to start with South Carolina State's first, and then we're going to get Central's. Alright? South Carolina State was ahead by 2 points in halftime. Alright? Let's see, was it enough for them to carry in this battle? Alrighty. So, South Carolina State's grade is 276. So that's South Carolina State's grade. North Carolina Central's grade is 274. Alright? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a 2-point difference. Okay? They were tied in they was tied in the fifth quarter. Alright? So they lead us to halftime, which South Carolina State had a better field show. Alright? So, with that being said, South Carolina State won this battle, ladies and gentlemen. They just had a stronger field show than North Carolina Central. That's it. I would have gave them an initial edge. It probably could have been tied if North Carolina Central was marching 8-5 in the beginning of their field show. 8-5 is a thing, ladies and gentlemen. You know, and stepping off is a consistent thing too. More so 8-5 because they just started losing track because they was marching from point A to point B, and the 8-5 started lacking. All right, you gotta remember to lock and drive those legs into the ground. All right, so that's my only critique when it comes down to North Carolina Central. When we come down to fifth quarter, however, all right, fifth quarter, both bands need to work on a couple of things, a couple of songs. Okay. So it was an even bout between both of them. So it was a tie for both. They both did good. If I would say edge-wise, if I would say preference for book, I like North Carolina Central's book better than South Carolina State's book in this battle. All right? Be honest with you. I did like North Carolina Central's book. I would say this, though. You know, they both need to be worked on. Okay, South Carolina State's book and North Carolina Central's book. All right, so y'all got some competitors coming up. You know, the more y'all see each other, because I'm going to grade y'all season. Don't get me wrong, I'm grading all y'all season. So don't think that this be the only time y'all see me. As y'all can tell by the record, I saw y'all a couple times, and I'm going to continue to see y'all. If it's on footage, I'm going to grade it. So I'm expecting more from both bands. Okay. So, with that being said, man, I really appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing y'all boys some love. That's my verdict. South Carolina State University won this battle. What I would say before I go, I want to give a special shout out to my channel member. I really appreciate you for being a part of this family. And you can also be a channel member as well. Again, click on that video below. Me explaining the details of, you know, going into the season as far as, you know, you being a member and all the perks that you have. But I really appreciate y'all, man, and I'm finna get up out of here, man. And like I tell y'all always, deuces.